My beloved child, draw near. Still your heart and silence the noise of the world, for I have been orchestrating this moment for you since before time began. I have seen every secret tear, every sleepless night, and every burden you carried in quiet dignity when you felt completely alone. You were not wandering, you were being prepared in the furnace of grace. Everything you endured was a divine setup, not a delay. I have been weaving your disappointments into a masterpiece, and I have been guarding your future until your spirit was strong enough to sustain it. The wait has not been wasted, it has been your training ground, but the season of preparation is now complete. The doors I have kept hidden are standing wide open, and the breakthrough you have longed for is no longer coming, it is here. I will not wait any longer. It is time to step into the fullness of the promise I have written over your life. I have watched every single moment of your journey, not just the bright highlights that others get to see, not just the victories and the milestones you share with the world, but the hidden hours. The hours between 2 and 4 in the morning when sleep refused to come, and your mind turned over the same fears like stones in a river, wearing them smooth but never washing them away. The moments in the car when you finally let the mask slip because there was no one watching. The afternoons when you sat in a room full of people and felt more alone than you have ever felt in your life. I have seen the burdens you carried with such careful, quiet dignity, burdens you tucked away from others, not because you were strong enough not to need help, but because you loved them too much to add your weight to theirs. I have seen the depth of that sacrifice, and I want you to know it has not been invisible to me. I know the weight of the silence that followed your prayers. I saw you kneeling in the dark with trembling lips, your voice barely more than a whisper, pouring out your heart into what felt like an empty room. I watched as you waited for an answer, a sign, any small token that would tell you the heavens had not been sealed. I saw the terror that crept in at the edges, that terrifying fear that perhaps your cries were falling on deaf ears, that perhaps the God you had been calling out to had turned away, that perhaps the heavens above you had become as unyielding and cold as brass. I know that fear. I know the specific shape of it in your chest. I know the way it tried to steal your sleep and devour your mornings. But I want you to hear this, and I want you to hear it all the way down to the bedrock of who you are. I have bathed every single tear you shed in my grace. Not one drop has been lost. Not one has evaporated into nothing. Not one has fallen to the ground unwitnessed. I have held each one as something precious. Because they were precious, they were evidence of a heart that still believed enough to grieve, still loved enough to ache, still trusted enough to come to me, even when coming felt like shouting into a void. Not one sigh has been ignored. Not one groan of your spirit, too deep for words, has passed by me unnoticed. My spirit intercepted every prayer before it could get lost, and he translated each one into a language that has always been heard before the Father. I have held your heart in my hands when it was breaking. I was there when it cracked along its old fault lines, when the pressure of disappointment and delay split it open again along the same wounds that had only just begun to close. I was there, and I did not drop it. I did not recoil from it. I held it more gently in those moments than in any other, because I know what it costs, a heart to keep breaking and keep choosing to trust anyway. And I have heard the unspoken words of your soul in those moments when you were too exhausted to even form a prayer, the language of your fatigue, your sighing, your silence. I have read every word. Nothing you have endured has been wasted, not 1 ounce of it. Not the seasons of loss, not the years of waiting, not the relationships that ended in pain, not the dreams that seemed to die in the ground without sprouting. Like a master weaver working on the back of a magnificent tapestry, where the threads seem to cross at random, where the colors appear to clash, where the pattern seems chaotic and purposeless, I have been meticulously, lovingly threading every disappointment, every delay, every heartache, and every detour into a masterpiece that is entirely and unmistakably of my design. Even when your vision was clouded by pain, even when the horizon seemed to offer nothing but more gray sky stretching endlessly ahead, even when the evidence all around you seemed to suggest that nothing was changing, that your situation was fixed and immovable as a mountain range, I was working. I was working in the invisible places. I was working in the hearts of people you haven't met yet. I was working in rooms you haven't entered yet. I was working in the timing, adjusting variables you couldn't even perceive, moving pieces across a board whose dimensions extend far beyond what your natural eyes can comprehend. I was never still. I never abandoned the loom. And now I am speaking a new word over your life. I am not repeating the old words that brought comfort in the waiting. This is a different kind of word. This is a word of declaration. This is a word of commissioning. This is the word that comes not before the harvest, but at the harvest itself. The season of waiting is over. I will not hold back the floodgates any longer. The reservoir of blessing I have been filling on your behalf, drop by drop, prayer by prayer, faith step by faith step, has reached its fullness. The infrastructure of your promise is complete. What I have been building in secret is ready to be revealed in public. I have kept a door hidden from the world and even from you to protect what was behind it until the timing was not just good but perfect. That door is now standing wide open. The frame has been set, the threshold has been laid, and the entrance is clear. You will not have to force your way through it. You will not have to manipulate your way into it. I have opened it with my own hand, and I am inviting you to walk through it with your head high and your heart full. The promises I whispered into the quietest corners of your heart years ago, the ones that seemed so large and luminous when I first spoke them, the ones you carried like embers through long seasons of cold, the ones you almost gave up on, almost let go of, almost decided were meant for someone else. Those promises are not dead. They were never dead. They were seeds waiting for the right soil. They were fire waiting for the right wind. They are beginning to exhale and come to life in a way that will leave no room for doubt about their origin. As they unfold before you, you will see my fingerprint on every single detail. You will look at the way the pieces fit together, the timing, the sequence, the precision of it, and you will realize with sudden, joyful, breathtaking clarity that no human hand could have orchestrated this. No luck, no coincidence, no effort of your own could have birthed this beauty into being. It is me. It was always me, and that will be the sweetest part. Stay close to my side now, for the atmosphere is shifting. The spiritual environment around your life is changing in ways you may not yet be able to perceive, but will soon begin to feel. This is the hour for which you have been prepared, not just shaped and equipped, but meticulously prepared, down to the smallest detail of your character, your capacity, your history, and your understanding. I am not just speaking these words to comfort your weary spirit, though I know your spirit needs the comfort. I am speaking to them to ignite your feet to move. You are standing at a celestial turning point, a threshold where a single step of bold, unwavering, deliberate faith will catapult you into territory you never imagined you could occupy, let alone inhabit and thrive within. Do not look back at the desert you just crossed with regret, or with the longing of someone who has left something important behind. You have left nothing of value behind. Everything that mattered, everything that was truly yours, has been preserved and carried forward. The desert had a purpose. It was not punishment, it was preparation. It was the crucible, it was the training ground. It was the place where character is stripped down to its essential truth and rebuilt on something that cannot be shaken. I have been holding your inheritance in my hands, protecting it from your premature reach, waiting for the precise moment when your character was strong enough, stable enough, and spacious enough to sustain the weight of what my grace was ready to give. If I had given it sooner, the blessing itself might have become a burden. The gift might have crushed you. The abundance might have scattered you. But I watched and waited, and now I see in you what I have been waiting to see. I see the steel in your spirit. I see the tensile strength that has been hammered into your backbone through years of endurance you thought might finally undo you. I see a faith that has been through the fire, not the kind of fire that destroys, but the kind that refines. The kind that burns away everything false and every impurity and leaves only what is real and strong and golden. I see the humility you found in the shadows, the deep, unperformable, unshakable humility that can only be grown in hiddenness and disappointment and the death of ego. I see the compassion you have developed for those who suffer, because you yourself have looked suffering in the face without flinching and come through it with your love for people not only intact but expanded. I see the unshakable trust you built in the center of the hurricane, when every circumstance conspired to tell you that I was not trustworthy, and you chose to believe in my goodness anyway. That trust is not a small thing. That trust is more precious to me than you can comprehend. I will wait no longer. You must lift your eyes and see what I have prepared. I have walked with you through valleys so dark and deep that the walls closed in on either side and the sky above was only a thin ribbon of gray. I was there. I walked behind you when you needed something steady at your back. I walked beside you when you needed a companion in the darkness. I walked ahead of you when you needed someone to break the path through the undergrowth. I stood as your silent guardian when others walked away and left you to face the cold alone, and I watched their departure. I covered the place they left with my own presence, so that in the end, you lacked for nothing essential. Even when you felt the sting of abandonment acutely, I was the shield that caught the arrows of doubt and shame before they could lodge themselves in your identity. When lies came for you, lies that said you were too broken to be used, too flawed to be loved, too far behind to ever catch up, too ordinary to carry anything extraordinary. I stood between those lies and the truth of who you are, and I absorbed everyone. When you had no words left to pray, my spirit groaned on your behalf with groanings that went beyond language, beyond articulation, beyond the limits of human expression. I interceded for you when you could not intercede for yourself. When fear tried to seize your mind and commandeer your thoughts and hijack your imagination with worst-case visions, I was the supernatural calm beneath the turbulence, the peace that passes understanding, the anchor that kept you from drifting into despair. Even in your moments of greatest weakness, in the moments when you felt you had failed or fallen short, when you were deeply disappointed in yourself, when you measured the distance between who you were and who you wanted to be, and felt the gap as a kind of grief, even then, my strength was surging through you like a current beneath the surface. You could not feel it, but it was there. It was the reason you were still standing. It was the reason you got up the next morning. It was the reason you chose, again and again, to take one more step when everything in you wanted to sit down and give up. You wondered why the road was so long. You asked the question 1,000 times, in 1,000 different ways, in the quietness of your own heart, and sometimes in the raw anguish of a prayer that sounded more like an accusation than a petition. Why so long? Why so much? Why so hard? I heard every version of that question, and I never once resented it. I never flinched. I never withdrew. Because I am not a God who is afraid of your questions. I am not made smaller by your confusion. I am not diminished by your doubt. And my answer, though it often came in whispers rather than thunder, has always been the same. I am never careless with the lives of my beloved. Every delay was a divine protection. Every closed door was a wall around something that would have harmed you. Every tear was water for the soil of your future. Every no was my way of saying yes to something far greater than you had not yet had the eyes to see. You are not at the end of your story. You are not in the epilogue. You are not in the final chapter. You are at the beginning of a chapter so vast and vibrant and full of color that it will dwarf everything that came before in the way that spring dwarfs winter. You will not just hear testimonies of my goodness anymore. You will become one. You will hold the manifestation of my promise in your hands, and your heart will overflow with the realization that I, the Lord your God, did this specifically, intentionally, lovingly for you, not generically, not accidentally, specifically for you with your name inscribed on every detail. Understand this clearly. While you thought nothing was happening, I was moving the hearts of kings. I was shifting the dispositions of people in positions of power and influence. I was softening hearts that had been hardened against you. I was planting favor in places you had not even visited yet. While you felt forgotten and invisible, I was rearranging the very stars, the systems and structures and sequences of the world to align for your arrival. I have been setting the stage so that when you finally step into your purpose, nothing and no one will be able to snatch it away from you. Not opposition, not envy, not your own past, not the voices that said it could never be you. The foundation is solid. The preparation is complete. The stage is set. The curtain is rising. And it is time for you to step into the fullness of what I have prepared. Now, take my hand. Breathe in. My peace, not the peace the world gives, which is fragile and conditional and always one bad news cycle away from collapsing, but my peace, which holds when nothing else does. Breathe it in like morning air and step forward. Your dawn has finally come. My beloved child, look closer now. Look more carefully. You have been viewing your life through the narrow lens of the present moment, seeing only the surface-level evidence, measuring only what your natural senses can confirm. You have been standing at the foot of the tapestry and assessing it based on the tangle of threads on the back side, not knowing that on the other side, the side I see, the side I have always been working toward, there is a breathtaking image taking shape with every thread you endured. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, simultaneously. Time does not constrain my perspective the way it constrains yours. I see the middle and the end from the same vantage point as the beginning. So when you saw a dead end, I saw a detour around a disaster you were not yet equipped to survive. When you saw a rejection, I saw a protection from a path that would have eventually broken your heart in ways that would have been far harder to recover from than the disappointment you felt at the time. I have seen every danger that lurked in the shadows ahead, ready to strike if I had allowed you to move forward before you were ready. I knew with the precision of a surgeon and the tenderness of a father that certain blessings in certain seasons would not be gifts at all. They would have been premature burdens, opportunities that would have exposed you to a weight of responsibility or visibility or vulnerability that would have crushed the very gifts I was trying to protect in you. I waited not to punish you, not to withhold good things from you out of some divine stinginess, but to preserve you, to cultivate you. I was waiting for your character to catch up to your calling, not because your calling was conditional on your perfection, but because I love you too much to set you up to carry something you weren't yet able to hold. I was waiting for the environment around you to be perfectly cultivated, the soil to be fully prepared, the infrastructure to be fully established, so that when you finally step into your promise, you will not merely arrive, you will thrive, and you will remain. And that time has come. The season of waiting has reached its fulfillment. What was once a wall is now a bridge, and you can see the other side from where you are standing. What was once a locked gate is now a door flung wide open, and light is pouring through from the other side. What was missing the piece that should have been yours, the resources that seemed always just out of reach, the clarity that kept getting obscured by the noise of your circumstances is being restored and made complete in ways that will exceed what you lost. In ways that will make you understand that restoration in my economy is never merely returning to the previous state, but a transformation into something richer, deeper, and more radiant than before. I am not a God who speaks empty words. I do not forget. I do not retract. I do not revise. Every word I have spoken over your life is a living, breathing, active thing, not a sentiment or a wishful thought, but a decree that carries creative power. A word that creates the very reality it describes. Every promise I made to you, whether in scripture or in the quiet of your own spirit, when I whispered specific things to your specific situation, every one still stands as an eternal, unrevoked declaration. I have been faithful to watch over my word to perform it, just as I have been faithful to watch over you through every season where you felt most alone, most forgotten, most invisible. The time of the harvest is here. The seeds you planted in tears, the prayers sown in the middle of the night, the acts of generosity you performed when you had almost nothing left to give, the kindness you extended when bitterness would have been understandable, the faithfulness you maintained when faithlessness would have been easily justified, all of it has taken root. All of it has been growing, silently, beneath the surface, in soil you couldn't see into. And now the harvest is breaking through. I am causing the soil of your life to become supernatural, a ground that produces 30, 60, 100-fold return on every seed you sowed in faith and tears. I will cause opportunities to spring up in the desert places, the very places where you expected nothing, where the landscape looked most barren and most hostile to growth. I will bring destiny helpers into your circle, people you haven't met yet, people who carry specific keys to specific rooms that have been waiting for your arrival. They will recognize something in you. They will feel drawn to invest in your vision. They will help you in ways that bypass the normal gatekeeping systems of the world, in ways that make it obvious to anyone watching that something more than mere networking is at work. I am opening doors that no critic and no opponent and no circumstance can shut, and I am permanently closing the doors that would have led you away from my perfect will. Some of those closings will sting at first. Some doors will slam shut in front of you, and you will not immediately understand why. But I am asking you to trust me in those moments, to trust that a closed door from my hand is never a rejection but a redirection, never a punishment but a protection, never an ending but a preparation for something better. My child, as the horizon brightens and the new chapter unfolds, there are things you must release. You cannot enter this new season carrying the heavy baggage of the last one. The armor you wore in the wilderness was necessary there, but it will be too heavy for the road ahead. The walls you built around your heart to survive were wise then, but they will become cages if you carry them forward. The small thinking you adopted to manage your disappointments, the "I shouldn't expect too much" that protected you from being hurt, must now be traded in for the expansive, believing, audacious expectation that I am calling you into. Do not let the paralyzing grip of fear hold you back. Do not let the whispering voice of doubt, that quiet, insinuating voice that sounds so reasonable, so prudent, tell you that you are not worthy of this or that it is too good to be true. When you face the challenges ahead, do not measure them against your own strength. Measure the challenge against the infinite, immeasurable, inexhaustible size of your God. I am going before you. I am leveling mountains and breaking the gates of bronze. I am making a path through the sea and a road in the wilderness. Nothing can stand in the way of what I have called forward, and I have called you forward. You wondered in the silence of your heart why the wait was so long. You replayed the same questions in the quiet, wondering what you had done wrong, wondering if you had missed a turn somewhere, wondering if the promise had an expiration date that had long since passed. But I tell you, I heard every whisper of those questions. I bottled every tear that fell from the asking of them. I saw the moments when you had to put on a brave face for the world, while your soul was screaming for relief. The moments when you stood in front of others and spoke faith and peace and hope, while your own interior world felt like a landscape after a storm. I was not distant in those moments. I was closer than I have ever been. I was in the trenches with you, reinforcing the foundations of your spirit with a strength that was invisible to your natural senses, but utterly real and utterly sufficient. You thought the stripping seasons were signs of my displeasure. When friends walked away and relationships that seemed permanent collapsed overnight, when the bank account dwindled, and the financial ground that felt solid began to shift, when the vision that had once been so clear began to fade and grow dim and feel. For a time, like it had simply died, you interpreted those things as evidence that something had gone wrong between us. But hear me, I was pruning you, not punishing. Pruning. I was removing the dead weight, not to diminish you, but to liberate you, to free you from things and people and patterns that were slowly consuming your energy and misdirecting your investment. I had to separate you from those who would have stolen your peace, or taken credit for your success, or diluted your focus until there was nothing left to focus. I had to bring you to a place where your trust was anchored in me alone, not in favorable circumstances, not in supportive people, not in your own capabilities, so that when the blessing comes, it will be pure, it will be clean, it will be unmistakably mine. I have watched you endure the sleepless nights and the quiet heartaches. I have seen you speak words of faith to others, while your own heart felt brittle and hollow. I have watched you encourage others who were struggling in minor ways compared to what you were privately carrying, and I have heard you do it without bitterness, without resentment, without a single word of, "But what about me?" That hidden faithfulness has not gone unnoticed. Your trust in the shadows, the trust nobody saw, the trust you exercised when there was no one to witness it and no reward in it, has qualified you for the light. It is that trust, precisely, that has earned your entrance into this new season. Not your performance, not your flawlessness, not your track record of perfect obedience. Your trust. I am moving now. This is not a slow trickle. This is not a gradual loosening of things long held back. This is the breaking of the dam. This is the opening of the floodgates. And you must prepare your heart for the sudden, for the way that things held back by the hand of God, when they are finally released, tend to arrive not in careful increments but in torrents. Do not think small. Do not limit me to the dimensions of your experience. Do not insist on squeezing the new wine of this season into the old wineskins of your previous categories. I am the God of the overflow, the God of the more than enough, the God who does not merely meet the need but exceeds it, who does not merely fulfill the request, but answers the deeper longing behind the request. When I restore, I do not simply bring you back to where you were. I bring you to a place you have never dreamed of, a place that makes the destination you originally had in mind look like a rest stop on a far longer and more magnificent journey. I am making all things new, not patching the old, not repainting the old. New. You will see with your own eyes the goodness I have stored up for this very hour, the goodness I have been accumulating on your behalf across every season, every sacrifice, every night of tears. You will walk into rooms of influence where your voice carries weight you do not yet know how to imagine. You will experience a wholeness in your body and a peace in your mind that you have almost forgotten is possible. You will move through your days with a clarity and a sense of purpose that makes you wonder how you ever navigated without it. And you will look back from that place of flourishing, and you will understand with a comprehension that goes bone deep that every delay was a divine setup. Every no was a part of the architecture of this yes. Every detour was building the exact strength you needed to thrive in the destination. The wait is over. Step out. Your season has begun. My beloved child, listen now with the ears of your spirit, because I am doing a work in you and around you that eyes have not yet seen and ears have not yet heard, a work that the human heart, in its natural state, cannot fully conceive. You are entering a season where you will witness profound and irreversible healing in the very places where you believed the scars were permanent. Where you once concluded that certain kinds of pain would simply be your lifelong companion, old wounds that had shaped themselves around the architecture of your daily existence so thoroughly that you could no longer imagine your life without them, I am pouring in the oil of joy. I am reaching into the deepest recesses of your soul, into those quiet chambers of accumulated disappointment and grief and old, unnamed wounds that even you sometimes forget are there. And I am breathing life where there was only stillness. I am breathing warmth where there was only cold. I am speaking light into places that have not seen light in years. But listen closely, because this transition comes with a responsibility. As you step into this light, understand that not everyone will celebrate the radiance reflecting off your life. Not everyone will have eyes to receive what they see in you. We are entering a season of divine distinction, a time when the difference between those who walk in the promises of God and those who have not yet found that path will become more visible than it has ever been. Some will look at your transformation and feel confusion, because they knew the version of you that was struggling, and this version will not compute. Some will harbor quiet doubt. Is this real? Can this last? Because your breakthrough will challenge the limits of their own expectation. And some may feel something harder, the sting of envy, dressed up as concern or criticism or skepticism. They will speak against the work I am doing in you, not because they are evil, but because they cannot yet fathom the depth of the process. I walked you through in the dark, the price that was paid, the fire that was endured. They are judging the harvest without having seen the planting. This is why you must guard your heart with all diligence, not with bitterness and not with walls, but with wisdom. Do not allow the whispers of the skeptical to plant seeds of fear or self-doubt in the garden of your mind. Do not let their narrow perceptions pull your gaze from the expansive horizon I am laying out before you. Do not rehearse their doubts in the silence of your own heart until they become your doubts. Keep your gaze fixed steadily on me. What I give to you, I give because of my sovereign grace and my infinite love for you, not because men and women have signed their names in approval, not because a committee convened and voted in your favor. I do not require human endorsement to bless my children, and hear this clearly. No power on earth, no word spoken in secret, no force of opposition or tide of opinion can take from you what I have placed in your hands unless you choose to lay it down. Stand firm in your identity. Hold tightly to my word. The time for hesitation has reached its end. The season of second-guessing your worth, of whispering, "Who am I to receive this?" of measuring yourself against others and concluding that they are somehow more deserving, that season is over. You may look at your hands and feel unready. You may look at the mountain and feel small, but I tell you, you have been prepared. The preparation was thorough, and it was real, and it happened across every season you thought was wasted. The fire was a workshop, not a demolition. The pressure was a refinement, not a rejection. The silence was a formation, not an abandonment. You are not the same person who first heard my promise. You are more, you are deeper, you are stronger at the broken places, as only those who have been broken and healed can be. The fire has burned away the dross. The pressure has been turning the coal of your character into a diamond for longer than you know. You have grown in the silence, in the hiding, in the hiddenness that felt like obscurity but was actually incubation. And now, you have the spiritual capacity to carry the weight of the glory that is coming. The vessel has been prepared. The contents can now be poured in. I will not hold back the floodgates any longer. The next chapter of your life begins at this very heartbeat. Walk into it not with the spirit of the timid, not with the shuffle of someone who is certain they belong at the table, but with the confident step of someone who knows exactly who walks beside them. I am placing before you an open door that no man can shut, not through cleverness, not through politics, not through systems designed to exclude people like you. I am revealing opportunities that were hidden behind a veil until this exact, appointed moment. Opportunities that are not just good but right, tailored to the particular shape of your calling and the particular history of your journey. I am surrounding you with a favor so tangible it will act as a shield, making a way through wildernesses and carving paths through impossible seas, smoothing rough ground, straightening crooked paths, and making low what had seemed like insurmountable heights. Do not let the spirit of fear whisper that it is too soon or too good to be true. Do not let the ghosts of your past remind you of who you used to be, as though that is who you still are. I am not calling the old version of you. I am calling the one who has been through the fire and come out gold. I am calling the you that has been refined and strengthened and deepened and expanded by everything you have survived. My calling is not an endorsement of your perfection. It is a manifestation of my purpose. I have chosen you not because you never stumbled, not because your record is clean, not because you earned this through sheer spiritual discipline. I have chosen you because I love you, and my hand is irrevocably, permanently, unshakably upon your life. Prepare yourself, for when I move, the acceleration will be breathtaking. What has taken others decades of grinding labor, I will accomplish in you in a single season. What seemed to require years of strategic preparation will unfold in a matter of moments, because I can compress time when I choose to, and I am choosing to. The chains of long-standing habit and old destructive patterns, the shackles of generational poverty and limitation and lack, the bonds of old trauma and old pain that seem to be written into the very DNA of your story, they will not just loosen, they will shatter, cleanly, completely, in an instant. The places where you have been stuck, where you have pushed and felt yourself push against an immovable resistance, will suddenly be lifted by a rising tide that comes not from your own effort but from my hand. The prayers you thought fell on deaf ears will be answered in a divine way that leaves no room for any explanation except the goodness of God. You will become a living testimony. People will not just hear about my grace through your words. They will see it written in the lines of your life, in your face, in your peace, in the quality of your presence, in the effortless way that things begin to open for you that had been sealed against others. You will carry something they cannot quite name but deeply want. And when they ask about it, when they ask how this happened, when they ask what changed, you will have an answer that points not to yourself but to me. So, my child, lift your head, strengthen your tired heart, reach out, and take my hand as we walk forward together into the fullness of what I have been preparing since before you were born. I am with you. I have always been with you. I will not leave you now at the threshold. I will not abandon you at the edge of the promised land. I will go before you and behind you and on every side of you as you step into the new, the vast, brilliant, flourishing new that I have prepared for you from before the foundation of the world. The stage is set. The curtain is rising. It is time. The reason I speak with such pressing urgency today is that the very ground you stand on in this moment is sacred. It is not merely a coordinate on a map or a date on a calendar. It is a kairos moment, a thin place, where the eternal intersects with the temporal. This is a turning point that was written into the stars and whispered into the fabric of the universe long before the foundations of the world were laid. Every breath you have drawn, every hidden tear you have shed in the midnight hours, and every grueling mile you have trudged through the wilderness, have been a deliberate preparation leading to this specific hour. You often felt as though you were wandering in aimless circles, repeating the same lessons and facing the same giants. But I tell you, from my perspective, you were never stuck. I was leading you up a divine spiral with every revolution. You were gaining higher ground, building spiritual muscle, and ascending toward this peak. Nothing, absolutely nothing in your life has been wasted. The years the locusts ate, the seasons of silence, the moments of crushing weight, I have been the meticulous steward of it all. I have gathered the broken, jagged shards of your failures and the gray dust of your disappointments. Even now, I am fusing them with the gold of my grace, creating a masterpiece of my design that will serve as a monument to my faithfulness. As we walk this journey together, we invite you to support this mission of spreading hope. Our goal is to bring light to your darkest days and to foster a heart of devotion and reverence toward the Creator. If this word has touched you, you may show your support through the Super Thanks button below, helping us continue to bring these messages to the world. I have been your vanguard, clearing the path ahead, and your rear guard, protecting your back. I have gone before you to level mountains of opposition you didn't even realize were in your way. I have reached out my hand and intercepted fiery arrows aimed at your soul before you even felt the wind of them passing. I have quietly and systematically removed people from your inner circle who would have poisoned your harvest, hindered your growth, or slowed your pace when the race became intense. You mourned those losses at the time, feeling rejected and lonely, but soon you will see the divine wisdom in that subtraction. I was not taking from you. I was clearing space for what is to come. The blessings I am about to pour out upon your life will be of such a magnitude that they will defy human logic and bypass every natural law of probability. They will be so clearly marked by my sovereign power that no critic, no cynic, and not even your own inner critic will be able to say you achieved this on your own. I purposefully waited for this specific moment when your own strength had reached its limit so that there would be no shadow of a doubt. I am your provider, your healer, your restorer, and your deliverer. The time for striving is at an end. Stop trying to force open doors that I have already unlocked and swung wide. You do not need to kick them down. You simply need to walk through them. The very atmosphere around you has shifted. The heavy, stagnant air of the waiting room has been replaced by the fresh wind of my spirit at your back. Your season has arrived. The fruit is ripe. Step into it now. My child, hear my voice in the deep stillness of this moment. You have entered a season where the heavy lifting of your own hands is coming to a close. For too long, you have labored under the crushing weight of your own expectations and the world's demands, trying to manufacture a breakthrough through sheer willpower. But I am telling you now, the era of striving is over. You will not have to manufacture this miracle. You will simply have to align your heart with my rhythm and trust the way I lead you. However, you must understand the divine urgency of this. Now, you must move when I say move. Do not let the paralysis of perfectionism or the ghosts of old failures cause you to hesitate at the threshold. Delay is often a quiet, polite form of disobedience born from a lack of trust. Do not hold back because the horizon looks unfamiliar or because the future feels veiled in a mist of uncertainty. When I command you to step forward into the unknown, it is only unknown to you. It is fully known, fully prepared, and fully inhabited by me. I have already stepped into your tomorrow, arranging the provision, preparing the hearts of those you will meet, and setting a table for your arrival. What is waiting on the other side of your yes has been carefully curated for your joy and my glory. You have spent long, weary nights in prayer, petitioning for change. And I tell you today that the change has not only started, it has arrived. It is no longer on the way, it is standing at your door. You have asked for signs, and I have scattered them along your path like breadcrumbs leading you home. Look closer, and you will see them. You have longed for the day when the broken pieces of your story would finally make sense, and I am telling you that the sun is dawning on that day. But be warned, as you ascend to this new height, the spiritual atmosphere will change. The voices around you may rise in a chorus of confusion or disapproval. There will be those who question your pace, asking why you are moving so quickly or why you are leaving the safety of the familiar harbor. Others, well-meaning but stuck in their own outdated seasons, will try to pull you back to the version of yourself they preferred, the version that stayed small, predictable, and manageable. But you cannot return to that narrow place. The The walls of your past have become too small for the spirit I have expanded within you. You have outgrown your old skin. You have outgrown your old ways of thinking. You are not who you used to be. Through the furnace of your recent trials, I have tempered your soul, sharpened your spiritual vision, and deepened the wells of your faith. What used to satisfy you will now feel like husks, for I am leading you to a feast of greater purpose and higher calling. Do not be surprised when challenges arise in this new territory. A new level of influence always invites a new level of opposition. The enemy of your soul will not sit quietly while you take possession of the territory I have promised you. He will whisper that this is too good to be true. He will attempt to use your own memories as weapons against you, making you doubt that this blessing is real or questioning if you truly heard my voice. But remember this: the enemy is a defeated foe who can only use the power of suggestion and the illusion of fear. He cannot stop the momentum of a move I have initiated. He cannot bolt a door that I have swung wide with my own hand. He cannot snatch the inheritance I have placed in your hands unless you choose to drop it. Stand firm. Clothe yourself in the truth of my character. Speak my promises into the atmosphere until your ears believe what your heart already knows. Hold fast to my word even when the storm clouds gather. For I am not only giving you a blessing, I am giving you the spiritual armor and the inner tenacity to protect it. I am placing a hedge of fire around you that no darkness can penetrate. My presence is your sanctuary. You are never walking this path alone. Every footprint you leave from this moment forward is covered by my hand. The same God who sustained you in the valley of weeping is the God who will crown you on the mountain of victory. I am the Alpha and the Omega of your journey. I am the one who began this good work in you, and I am the faithful one to bring it to its full completion. So rise, my child. Shake off the dust of the waiting room and the soot of the furnace. The period of preparation is finished. The training is over. I will not wait any longer for you to feel ready, because your readiness is found in my strength, not your own. You must see the reality of what I am doing with spiritual eyes. Reach out and take hold of the hem of this opportunity and walk with me into the fullness of your destiny. As you step into what I am revealing, carry this truth deep in your soul. This is not a coincidence. This is not the result of luck, nor is it a random turn of the wheel of fate. This is the unfolding of a perfect, ancient, and unshakable plan. This script was written long before you faced your first trial, long before your ancestors were born. I have been meticulously weaving this moment together with infinite love, watching over every minor detail to ensure that when the fullness of time arrived, nothing would be able to thwart it. I know some seasons felt like a desert without end, a dry land where hope went to die. I saw the tears you shed when you thought your strength was failing and your faith was flickering out like a dying candle. In those dark hours, you wondered if I had turned my back or forgotten my promise. But I was never closer to you than in those moments of silence. I was shaping your character when you thought I was absent. I was building muscles of endurance when you felt most weak. I was planting seeds of faith in the deep furrows of your pain seeds that are now ready to burst through the soil and bear fruit that will last for eternity. I know the accusations that haunt your mind. I know there are days when you feel utterly unworthy of this grace. You look at your past mistakes, your moments of doubt, and your very human shortcomings, and you think they disqualify you from my favor. But my grace is not a reward for your perfection. It is a gift of my affection. Your past cannot cancel the future I have written for you. Your mistakes cannot outrun my mercy. I have cleared the way. I have settled the debt. I have prepared the prize. Now lift your head, square your shoulders, and walk forward. The wait is over. Your season has begun. My beloved child, listen closely to the rhythm of my heart for you, for it beats with a love that the world can neither give nor comprehend. Never for a moment think that my affection for you is tied to your performance or weighed against your perfections. If I required you to be flawless, my grace would be unnecessary. If I waited for you to be worthy, my sacrifice would have been in vain. You are mine, and today we move forward together. No, my love is not a flickering flame that wavers with the winds of your performance. It is a massive, unshakable anchor forged in the fires of an unchanging promise. It is a covenant written not in the shifting sands of human effort, but in the eternal ink of my own name. I have chosen you with a deliberate, sovereign intent, not because you have walked a flawless path, or because your record is untarnished, but because I saw the essence of who you were before a single atom of your body was formed. I gazed across the span of time and saw your beginning and your end, and I knew then that my purpose for your life was infinitely grander, more resilient, and more beautiful than any mistake you could ever make. To me, your failures are not the theme of your life. They are but a brief, faded footnote in the epic story I am currently writing with your days. I have taken the dark ink of your past, the regrets that keep you awake and the shame that whispers in the dark, and I have washed it clean with the torrential flood of my mercy. In its place, I am using the refined gold of my glory to pen a future, saturated with a hope so vibrant it will never disappoint you. I have already gone ahead of you to prepare a table of blessings, a banquet of favor laid out in the presence of your challenges. I have secured for you an inheritance so vast in its scope and so protected in its nature that no weapon forged in the darkness, no lie whispered by the accuser, and no enemy standing in your way can ever snatch it from your grasp. It is yours by divine decree, but you must grasp this truth with your whole heart. My blessings are not museum pieces to be admired from behind a glass partition. They are territories meant to be possessed. You cannot remain tethered to the shallow, safe shores of your comfort zone and expect to experience the terrifyingly beautiful wonders of the deep. You cannot continue to linger in the long, cold shadows of what used to be, or what might have been, and expect to feel the warmth of the rising sun of what is to come. Faith is not a static thought or a polite suggestion. It is a violent forward motion. It is the holy audacity to believe that my word carries more weight and more reality than the very circumstances you can see and touch. Even when the fog of uncertainty is so thick you cannot see your own hand before your face, and the path beneath your feet feels like it has vanished into thin air, I am asking you to trust the rhythm of my heartbeat. Take that first, trembling step into the unknown. Do not exhaust yourself by worrying about the 10th step, the 50th, or the 1000th. Simply give me the first one. I am the one who creates solid ground where there was only air. I am the one who steadies your ankles so they do not trip. I am the one who levels the high places and smooths the jagged rocks. I will not let you fall, nor will I ever allow your radical trust in me to result in your shame. I am your father, and I protect my own with the ferocity of a king. Understand this: what I have begun in you, I am faithful to bring to a magnificent completion. I am not a god of half measures, and I do not leave my masterpieces unfinished on the easel. I am preparing to move into the geography of your life in a way that will leave you breathless, a display of my power so undeniable and so evident that even those who once doubted your worth or questioned your calling will stand in silent awe of what I have done. Prepare your heart for a divine acceleration. The long, grueling season of waiting is shifting, right now, into a season of suddenness. Doors that have been rusted shut by years of disappointment, doors you eventually assumed would never budge, will suddenly swing wide on silent hinges. Opportunities you thought had passed you by, or that you felt you had disqualified yourself from, will return to your doorstep with double favor and increased influence. People who haven't crossed your mind in years will suddenly be moved by my spirit, prompted in the night to bring you the very connection, the very resource, or the very breakthrough you have been crying out for. Where your life has felt like a parched, cracked, and forgotten desert, you will begin to hear the low rumble of an abundance of rain. Life is rushing back into the dry places. The wilderness is about to bloom. This healing I am bringing into your life is not a surface-level fix or a cosmetic touch-up. It is a total, radical restoration of your entire being. I am reaching into the very cells of your body to bring alignment and strength, but I am also reaching deeper into the hidden, dusty chambers of your heart and the weary, echoing corridors of your mind. I am systematically uprooting the grief that has tried to make a permanent home in your spirit, and in that cleared soil, I am planting seeds of indestructible, supernatural joy. I am replacing the frantic, jagged vibration of fear with a peace so profound, so heavy, and so deep that it will guard your heart like an impenetrable fortress. One day soon, You will look back with clear eyes and realize that my timing was exquisite, that what you perceived as a frustrating delay was actually a season of me shielding you from what you weren't ready for and preparing you to carry the weight of the glory I am now revealing. But guard this transition well, my child. Every great blessing carries a weight of responsibility. As you step into this brilliant new light, you must realize that not everyone from your past will have the capacity to celebrate your promotion. There will be those who prefer the old version of you because it was easier to control or compare themselves to. There will be those who remember your stumbles and will try to use them as an anchor to keep you from soaring. Do not allow their whispers to become louder than my roar. Their approval is not the currency you trade in. My approval is the bedrock foundation of your existence. You do not need the validation of people for a destiny that I have already authorized in the highest courts of heaven. Stay close to me. Let your prayer be the very breath you draw, and let my word be the daily food that sustains your soul. Fill your heart so full of my truth that the lies of the enemy find no place to land and no fuel to burn. I am your source, your shield, and your exceeding great reward. This is the hour of the promise. This is the moment you cried out for in the middle of those long nights. I will wait no longer, and neither should you. Cast off the spirit of heaviness like a garment that no longer fits, and put on the mantle of praise. I am with you. I am in you. I am for you. As you move forward into this new territory, know that I have already walked every mile that lies ahead of you. I have scouted the terrain of your future. I have cleared the boulders that would have crushed you and set the bridges over the canyons you couldn't cross. Every person you need to meet is already being positioned by my hand. Every obstacle that stood in your way is already being dismantled by my angels. Even when you felt you were walking through the darkest valley of the shadow, I was there in the periphery, clearing the path so that when this exact moment arrived, you would be ready to run. The weight of the past, the jagged wounds of rejection, the dull stings of disappointment, the exhaustion of trying to prove your worth, I am stripping them away from you like an old, tattered, and heavy cloak. They no longer define your identity. They no longer dictate your direction. The chains are not just loosened, they are shattered into dust. The heaviness is lifting, and in its place, a lightness of spirit is taking hold. You are being refined in the fire, refreshed in the water, and released into the wind. Step out now with the quiet, unshakable confidence of a child who knows their father owns the entire kingdom. Speak my truth into the atmosphere of your home, your workplace, and your mind until your very soul vibrates with it. The Lord is my shield. He is the guardian of my heart. He is the architect of my steps. He is my glory and the lifter of my head. Walk into your destiny, my beloved, for I am right beside you, holding your hand, and I will never, ever let you go. From this moment forward, your gait will change. You will walk with the stride of the redeemed. You are laying down the heavy, rusted armor of self-reliance and finally allowing my strength to carry the burdens you were never meant to shoulder. I am weaving into your spirit a peace that is not merely a feeling, but a fortress, a peace that defies logic and bypasses understanding. This is your anchor. This is your time. The wilderness is behind you. The promise is before you. Walk on. Understand that the blessing I am pouring out is not a stagnant pool meant only for your refreshment. It is a living, rushing river intended to flow through you, irrigating the dry lands of others' lives as it passes. The provision I place in your hands will overflow, meeting your personal needs with such abundance that you will cease to be a consumer of grace and become a distributor of it. I am making you the answer to someone else's desperate midnight prayer. The healing I am bringing to your deepest, most jagged wounds is not just for your internal comfort, it is a sacred transformation. I am turning your site of trauma into a sanctuary of hope for the brokenhearted. Your scars, once symbols of pain, are being repurposed into a bridge, a sturdy, tested path for others to cross from the shores of despair into the light of life. The doors I am swinging open for you are not random. They are strategic, divine appointments. They lead to high places and hidden corners alike, where my light can radiate through your very presence, illuminating the dark shadows of the world around you. This is why you can no longer remain in the safety of the shore. The shallow waters of good enough can no longer sustain the weight of the destiny I have placed upon you. The work I have ordained for you cannot be accomplished from a place of hesitation, calculated safety, or paralyzing fear. I am calling you to rise and move. Take that step that feels too big for your feet, for I am the one who expands the ground beneath you. Trust me beyond the fragile limits of your physical sight. I have finished the work of preparation. I have seasoned your spirit and tempered your soul. I will not wait any longer for you to realize your own readiness, for your readiness is found in me, not in yourself. The time is not coming or eventual. The time is a resounding now. I am with you in every rhythmic heartbeat, guiding your decisions with a whisper, protecting your flank from the arrows of the enemy, and drenching your soul in a love that has no beginning and no end. You will see the manifestation of my promises with your own eyes, not as a distant observer, but as a primary participant. You will live the reality of what you once only dared to whisper in your dreams. And in that breathtaking moment of fulfillment, when the dream becomes the ground you walk on, you will know with an unbreakable diamond-hard certainty that it was I, your Lord, who orchestrated every microscopic detail to bring you to this precise coordinate in time. You must understand that my timing is never accidental, nor is it ever late. What you perceived as a frustrating delay, those months or years that felt like wasted motion, was actually my hand carefully arranging the complex pieces of your story. I was busy making connections you didn't even know you needed, preparing opportunities that weren't yet ripe enough for your arrival, and removing obstacles that would have tripped you up miles down the road. I have been working in the unseen realms, moving in the hearts of people you could not reach, ensuring that when I finally opened this door, no man, no system, and no circumstance could ever shut it again. In the seasons past, you fought your battles until you were utterly exhausted, believing the outcome depended entirely on your own stamina and grit. But this season is fundamentally different. This is the season of walking in my delegated strength. You will find favor going before you like a royal vanguard, softening the hearts of adversaries and opening pathways that were previously bolted shut with iron. You will see my hand move so swiftly, and with such precision that you will recognize it instantly. You will hear the right word at the exact microsecond of your need. You will witness the impossible begin to unravel and realign itself in your favor, as if the very atoms of your situation are obeying my command. These are not coincidences or lucky breaks. They are the distinct, undeniable fingerprints of your Creator. They are constant, rhythmic reminders that I have gone before you to level the mountains and straighten the crooked paths. But your part is this: stay close, do not wander. Abide in me as a branch abides in the vine. The more you linger in my presence, the clearer my voice will sound, rising like a trumpet above the chaotic noise of the world. The more you trust, the less power fear has over your nervous system, and the less it will be able to paralyze your progress. When the old tired whispers of doubt return to haunt your thoughts, silence them by speaking my promises aloud until they vibrate in the air. When fear tells you that you are inadequate or unqualified, remind yourself that I am the one who has qualified you by my own Spirit. You are ready because I have declared you ready. Now, walk forward into the brilliant light of this new day. My child, listen closely to the rhythm of my voice, for I am speaking directly to the depths of your soul, past the layers of logic and worry. Every trial you have faced, every jagged lesson you have learned in the oppressive silence of the night, and every salt-stained tear you have cried into your pillow have not been in vain. They were not accidents, nor were they punishments from a distant God. They were the crucible of your preparation. I have been using every difficulty to forge a supernatural strength in you, a resilience you did not know you possessed. You have been refined in the fire, not to be consumed, but to be purified, and now you are ready for the exact moment that stands before you. Do not look to the left or to the right with envy or confusion. Do not compare the map of your journey to the path of those around you. Comparison is the thief of the joy I have set specifically for you, and it distorts the beauty of your own calling. What I am doing for you is a singular work, a unique, custom-designed masterpiece that has never been seen before in the history of the world. The timing I have orchestrated for your life is not the timing I have for anyone else. You may have felt behind, or as if you were wandering in a parched desert while others reached their lush destinations, but I tell you, this is your appointed hour. This moment has been etched into the foundations of eternity, and no power in heaven or on earth can snatch it from your hands. Walk forward now with your eyes fixed on me, with a holy, sanctified stubbornness, knowing that I am the author and the finisher. I do not leave my work half done. I will complete every fraction of what I have begun in you. Understand this deeply. This is not the end of your story, nor is it a mere sequel. It is the closing of a long, arduous preface, and the beginning of a chapter greater, more vibrant, and more powerful than anything you have lived before. I am calling you out of the shadows of someday, and eventually, and into the searing light of now. I will not wait any longer, and I do not want you to wait either. You must sharpen your spiritual vision to see the invisible, open your heart to believe the incredible, and move your feet to step into the impossible today. Let this truth sink past your mind and into the very marrow of your bones. What I am doing in your life right now is not a small thing. It is not a temporary fix, a band-aid blessing, or a fleeting emotion that will evaporate with the morning mist. This is the birth of a lasting, generational change, a tectonic shift in the very landscape of your life. I am moving the mountains that have blocked your view for decades, and I am carrying you into a future that exceeds the boundaries of your wildest imagination. I have prepared this season with the meticulous care of a master artist. I have labored over the canvas of your life with infinite, painstaking love. Every dark hue of sorrow was chosen to give depth and contrast to the masterpiece. Every bright, bold stroke of joy was placed to catch the light of my glory. Every layer, every texture, and every shadow has a divine purpose. And now, I am pulling back the veil to reveal the work. I am telling you again, I will not wait any longer. You have been in the waiting room long enough. You have walked through seasons where faith was your only oxygen, where the ground beneath you felt like shifting sand, and the sky felt like brass. Yet, look at you, you are still standing. You are standing not because of your own stamina or your own cleverness, but because my hand has been the invisible pillar holding you up. I have been the anchor that held when the Category 5 winds howled. I have been the light that pierced your darkest midnight. And I have been the persistent whisper of hope that spoke over the loud, mocking shouts of despair. Every grueling step, every climb, and every valley has brought you to this threshold where the heavy, suffocating weight of the past is finally falling away. The expansive, limitless promise of the future is unfolding before you like a map of gold. In this new season, you will experience a supernatural shift in your capacity. What once drained your energy will no longer have power over you. The fears that used to paralyze your heart will lose their grip and become like harmless shadows in the noon sun. The resonance of my voice will silence the nagging, internal doubts that kept you second-guessing every move. You will find yourself walking with a new, quiet, unshakable confidence, not a pride in your own ability, but a deep, anchored trust in mine. You will notice that you are no longer straining, striving, or pushing against heavy, closed doors. Instead, you will find doors swinging open with an effortless grace because I am the one turning the key. Step through. The world is waiting for the light I have placed inside of you. But I charge you, my child, with a sacred stewardship. Protect the holy transformation I am breathing into your spirit. As you rise from the ashes of your former seasons, do not be surprised when those around you fail to recognize the new countenance you wear. As you ascend, not everyone will possess the spiritual vision to understand the metamorphosis they see. Some, bound by their own stagnation, will instinctively try to pull you back into the smaller, more predictable version of yourself, the version that made them feel comfortable and unchallenged. Others may launch arrows of criticism or speak against your progress, not because you have failed, but because your growth highlights their own insecurity or spiritual lethargy. I tell you now, do not let their words find a lodging place in the sanctuary of your heart. Do not waste the precious breath I have given you defending a calling that I have already validated in the heavens. You do not need to prove your worth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Keep your gaze locked onto mine, unwavering and fierce. The only approval that can sustain the weight of your destiny is the approval that comes from me alone. If I have whispered a yes over your life in the secret place, no from the halls of man can halt the momentum of my spirit. Prepare your heart, for the season of the unexpected is upon you. You are entering a time where you will see blessings arrive in configurations you could never have calculated with human logic. Some of these breakthroughs will be the long-awaited harvest of seeds you planted in bitter tears. Years ago, prayers you thought had fallen on deaf ears, or dreams you had buried because the weight felt too heavy to bear. These are your recompense. But other blessings will be suddenlies, divine interruptions, and surprises of grace that you didn't even know to ask for. You will begin to see my fingerprints in the intricate timing of your days, in the divine connections that seem like accidents, but are actually holy appointments, and in the supernatural provision that arrives just as the barrel runs dry. You will finally look back and see with crystal clarity that nothing, not one heartache, not one agonizing delay, not one season of loneliness was wasted. I am the great alchemist of the soul, and I am even now converting your deepest pains into the very platforms where my glory will shine the brightest. Your scars are becoming your credentials. If you believe in your deepest core that my delay was never a denial, but a divine setup for a greater display of my power, then hold your head high. Do not walk into this new season with a spirit of apology. Step forward with a bold, lion-like faith. The era you have been longing for, the one you sensed in your spirit while the world was still dark, has finally arrived. And hear me clearly. I am not just sending you into this new territory. I am walking into it with you, hand in hand. I will not wait any longer, and neither should you. Embrace this moment with every fiber of your being. It has been fashioned specifically for your unique gifts and your specific journey. It belongs to you by divine right, and it will not pass you by. As you move into this frontier, remember that you are surrounded by the host of heaven. I have gone before you as a pioneer to level the jagged paths and scout the terrain that looks daunting to your eyes. I am walking beside you as your counselor, your confidant, and your truest friend, whispering direction in your ear. And I am also your rear guard, standing as an impenetrable wall between you and the ghosts of your past that try to follow you into your future. You are encased in my love, fortified by my strength, and shielded by my sovereign protection. There is no valley so deep that I am not already at the bottom waiting to lift you, and no mountain so high that I am not already standing at the peak ready to pull you to the summit. Do not fall into the trap of relying on your own strength, for it is a finite resource that will surely fail you. Rely instead on mine, for it is bottomless, ancient, and unyielding. When your knees feel weak under the weight of the call, I will be the bone and sinew that holds you upright. When your mind feels clouded by the complexity of the journey, I will be your absolute clarity. When the world around you descends into chaos, I will be your Sabbath rest, a stillness that exists even in the eye of the storm. I never call the equipped, I equip the called, and I have called you by name. In the coming days, you will see my hand move with such precision and beauty that it will take your breath away. The right resources will appear at the exact millisecond the need arises. The right words will be placed upon your tongue with a weight and authority you did not possess before. None of this is a coincidence. It is my providence in motion. You do not have to manufacture this new life, nor do you have to strain to make it happen. You only have to manifest it by staying in the closest possible proximity to me. Listen for my heartbeat in the stillness of the morning. Follow the peace that surpasses all human understanding when you are faced with a choice. You are my child, my delight, and my messenger, and your time has come. So, rise now, my child. Shake off the dust of the wilderness and the weight of the past. They have served their purpose, but they are no longer your home. Step out with the bold, unshakable confidence of one who knows that the King of Glory is walking beside them. Do not look back, for what lies ahead is infinitely more radiant than all you have survived. The season of waiting has officially become the season of the harvest. Receive it, embrace it, and live it with every fiber of your being. Your dawn has broken, the shadows have fled, and your fullness is finally at hand. Go now, your new life begins with this very breath. Beloved, we have journeyed through much today. Before you go, I want to hear from you. What has the Lord spoken to your heart throughout this message? What is the one truth you have learned today that you are determined to put into practice in your daily life? Please share your heart with us in the comments below. Your testimony encourages the entire community. If you found hope and strength in this video, please leave your comment. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can continue to bring these messages of faith to the world. Thank you for walking this path with us.